Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about the fear outlines for this week. And the first article I chose was Clinical Empathy as Emotional Labor in Medical Work. And so, whenever I think about the intersection of empathy and medical work, fear is not usually something that comes to mind. And in the love outline, I discussed how clinical empathy has helped me immensely while navigating and treating chronic pain. Even though I know that empathy is an important part of the medical field, I would have had more success being treated if I had like a visible problem. I know how emotionally taxing care work is, and I don't want to drain people who are already struggling. However, I had not thought of it as something to be taught, but more so something that is natural. And this article has further expanded into what I already knew about care work. Vincent and Underman discuss how care workers can check for signs of fear in their patients, how to resolve their fears, and the specifics of how to interact with patients. The authors further discuss how emotionally and physically taxing the job already is, so sometimes workers have to shut down their clinical empathy out of pure survival. Furthermore, this article pushed the point home for me about how important empathy is in a clinical setting because what patients tell you and managing their emotions like absolutely depends on your own demeanor. And while I don't work in a care work position, I do have to interact with the public every day while working retail. And depending on where I am in the store, it's much more emotionally taxing on me. And when I first started, I was on register like every single day for months, and it was so extremely hard for me to explain situations to customers whenever they would get upset with me for just like upholding the store policies. And I got to a point once where I made a mistake, and this lady she started yelling at me and acting like I did what I did to spite her, and I tried to be as cordial to her as possible and explain the situation so that she would calm down. But eventually, my manager just took over for me so I could take a break, and I went and cried about it in the break room. And after a few months, I begged management to let me work anywhere else in the store, even in situations where I'm interacting with customers, not dealing with the stress of checking people out and managing their other people's emotions at the same time has made a huge difference in my mental health. Okay, and for the second article, I chose the Pavlova and Donovan Lee, the Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways, beliefs about compassionate predict care and motivation to help among healthcare professionals. And so I understand how fear can have a major role in the lives of care workers and their patients. The reactions that doctors or nurses have in a life saving situation are crucial. Like one little doubt that you have in your mind that you won't be good enough for a situation could lead to death. Normally, I don't think about the emotions of doctors or nurses whenever they're performing life saving measures, and I just assume that they're on autopilot and they have to trust themselves to do the right thing, despite what they feel. Like before, I know how the compassion and care side of roles have a huge impact on people's lives outside of work, and I wish that there was a way to protect people from the toll that caring about others has. And I hope that this article will give me more examples of fear in care work. And this article is a quantitative study of healthcare workers that shows the correlation between compassion, ability, self-efficacy, and fear, and how they all link with burnout and mindsets, and how your mindsets and actions impact the care that patients receive. I knew that burnout can have big impacts on how people treat their patients, but I did not realize that the beliefs that workers have about if compassion is important in their work has an impact on how they treat their patients, which I thought was really interesting. And this article has shown me how much of an impact your attitude has on the world around you. Furthermore, this article taught me how people use their will to do good work to get over the fear that they have while working. And overall, this article taught me a lot about how people face their fears and how they use it to become more compassionate individuals. And for my example, I remember that a time that my cousin had to tell me something really important, and I'd had a really bad day. My mental health was not doing the best in general, and so I just took a minute to calm down so I wouldn't be as overwhelmed whenever she told me her news. And as it turns out, she was 19 and pregnant, so was something. And despite my own issues that day, I let her tell me everything that she needed to get off her chest and put my own needs aside. And just like in the article, I felt some fear about the situation, but being compassionate helped my cousin out a lot, and our relationship has never been better.